So we're going to talk now about what about the irregular words. So basically 50% of all words are accurate by sound symbol correspondence. And then about 36% more have one sound that's different. That's maybe irregular. And then 4% are, it's not on here, but about 4% are truly irregular, and the rest are based on language. So it's like a French word, so that's why. So that's basically, so that's why this becomes so critical. So with irregular words, we need them to orthographically map them. So your question was, I think there was a question about memorizing whole words. What we really want to be doing with irregular words is orthographically mapping them with students and teaching them to see that. And so I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Okay, so let me just define some terms. So a sight word is any word that we read by sight. So that means it is orthographically mapped in our brain, and we can read it without effort. So as adults, you have 50,000 or more sight words. So when you see the word, you know what it is. Every word on this page you have as a sight word because you read them without effort. A high frequency word, these are words that are the most common in the English language, and they can be regular or irregular. So some are decodable, some are not. And we tend to confuse these three categories in our language and what we're doing with students. But the high frequency word, it can be called a high frequency word sometimes, even though it's decodable. The programs will say that it's not decodable because that sound spelling card hasn't been taught. So it gets complicated. But by second grade and beyond, when all the graphemes have been introduced, that shouldn't become an issue, but they kind of move around. An irregular word is a word that doesn't follow regular sound spelling patterns. The way that we introduce a high frequency word is very explicit. There is a routine, and most people don't know this routine, but that's the read, spell, write routine, which is mapped out right here. Okay, so if you notice it, what it's trying to do, it doesn't call it out, so you have to connect it with the brain research. Okay, it's trying to help kids orthographically map it. That's basically what it's trying to do in this routine. Okay, and so the basic routine is, if you read right here, what's the first sound you hear and said? And here's where it's surprising, right? Okay, then they go to the end sound. Then they go to the middle. Right? Most people just put the whole word up. So it's, what's the first sound and said? What's the last sound and said? And then what's the middle sound? And eh. And then you show them, if they have not, if they have not learned it, you just tell them this E by itself makes the E sound, right? If it's irregular, you do the same thing. So this is irregular word, and we need to remember this. Okay, does that help answer that question? You just tell them what. So this is where, so I know some of you are working with people that are in the Science of Reading group, right, on Facebook, and are very interested in this. So this is where the heart words come in. And the heart words are words that you have to learn by heart. But what you really need to be doing, it's not about the heart, it's about orthographically mapping it with students and letting them see the letter sequence. So for the word said, what you're doing is you're explicitly teaching them that the AI is irregular and basically says the S sound, right? So when I'm doing heart words, I would use that same routine. What the word is said, what's the sound? What's the letter? S. What's the last sound? D. What's the letter? D, right? Now, what's the middle sound? Eh. Now, with the word said, we spell it with AI. But notice how I'm doing this. That's going to help a child orthographically map that irregular pattern. So this is why memorization isn't really necessarily the best approach, because the brain learns it by letter sequence. So we want to map out the letter sequence so the brain can orthographically map it and recognize that letter sequence and then have automaticity with the word said. We really need them explicitly teaching, here are the sounds in the word, here's how it's written, and work with them on orthographically mapping them. So I'm just showing you different ways people are doing it, if it's helpful for you. And you do not have to do heart words. So I know some people are going to say like, well, you have to do heart words. No, you don't have to do heart words. What you need to do is orthographically map the words. The heart words is just a strategy, right? That you can use. I don't think it's going to harm anybody, right? If it helps children, you know, but it's a strategy. The research is about, you've got to orthographically map the irregular words for students, because that's really where we're going.